Hey everyone, Mario again, coming at you with another comic book related video. As you can tell from up there, it is of the latest entry in the Darth Vader series, Darth Vader number 8, which is called The Dying Light Part 2. This one overall I thought was a pretty good entry, continues the story pretty well, and we start to get a idea of where this arc is going to be going. The major thing that happens in this one is that Jocasta Nu finally makes her move and comes back to Coruscant and breaks into the Jedi Temple. She was talking in the previous volume about a school that she's trying to make needing students, and because of that she has to come to the Jedi Temple. And apparently, given that the library's hers, I kind of figured before I even got to the page that there was probably going to be a secret room. And I was right, and it's the typical thing, move a couple books here and there, presto, secret room. And the room is still pristine. All the artifacts she left in there are there, which include some weird-looking masks and a bunch of holocrons, including some Sith holocrons, which I have a feeling that when Palpatine finally gets his hands on those, he's going to be salivating at the thought of delving into the secret knowledge that they hold. Heck, any of them could belong to any ancient Sith lords. Like, maybe this could be a way of reintroducing Revan back into the canon in a proper way. And she gets this one little artifact that's in there, which apparently is the list of all the Force-sensitive children that the Jedi had compiled before Order 66 was activated. It's imperative she gets this before the Empire does, and the Empire getting their hands on this list is probably what's going to lead to a certain thing we see in Rebels, but that's probably going to be post this, because by that time they're going to have basically killed all the people on the list or recruited them to be part of the Inquisitorius. As she makes her way out, she has to deal with her own emotions, which this is one interesting thing that this book deals with. A little bit is how the Sith and Jedi view emotions differently. It's very, very subtle, but you can tell it's there. Whereas the Jedi try to be emotionless, but sometimes they can let their emotions get the better of them. Whereas the Sith, having the emotions is imperative, but as the opening scene of this chapter shows, you gotta use your emotions at the right moment. To use a wrestling term, you gotta pick your spots. This is why in the original trilogy we don't just see Vader walking around spamming force chokes. He uses them when appropriately. When the one officer basically is back talking him in episode 4, and then of course to make a point to a couple Imperial officers in episode 5. "You have failed me for the last time, Admiral." When it comes to Jocasta, she lets her emotion over the books get the best of her, and she attacks the lead Inquisitor with her saber with a line that, this is the perfect line to end the volume and basically end her story for now, and that is, "Get your filthy hands off my books!" That's the voice I can imagine her speaking with. "If an item does not appear on our records, it does not exist." And just the look on the Inquisitor's face in that panel, it's like, he's thinking, really? Jocasta, really? He's caught off guard because he didn't expect her to attack him like that. Of course, he has a lightsaber pointing at his head. Even if you're as skilled a duelist as he is, that's going to catch you by surprise. And I have a feeling in the next volume, he's probably going to take her to school, but who knows? Maybe this is before he was as skilled as he was when he fought Kanan Jarrus in the first season of Rebels. Now, the other story arc involves Vader. There's the thing I already mentioned about the Emperor telling him, he has to pick his spots when he uses the Force choke. But the most interesting thing regarding him is we get to see his inner monologue, his inner thoughts, when he's meditating. And it is essentially what you would expect from Vader, where his anger is personified by a raging storm on a sea. We see that his body is basically just like a black form, and I like the attention to detail where the only parts that are not black are his limbs, because his arms and legs are robotic, so the Force would not flow through them properly, so that was a nice little detail. And then, of course, there's also the other little nice detail in that they symbolize the remaining part of Anakin Skywalker that's within Vader as butterflies. That's very symbolic. It also is a little, some of the things you can go, called it, but it's nice. And then he's called in by an Imperial officer, which that scene, I just love that scene where he's like, "Some new guy by the name of Darth Vader." And that whole scene where they're talking and the Invader's basically calling him out a little bit. Officers talking all smugly to him. This is a way that by the time of the original trilogy, none of the officers would talk to Vader this way, because that would get you killed. He just all talking smugly to him, and then Vader puts him in his place. As I was reading the officer's lines, I'm like, wait for it. Put in his place. You're going to need a senzu for that one. I know, wrong verse, but... And then he says somebody should check the Jedi Temple when Vader tells him that no, search everywhere except there, and then Vader just goes, someone will. Doesn't have to say more than that. It's very obvious he's going himself, which is why I have a feeling that he's going to come face to face with Jocasta in the next one. Whether it's because he has to deal with her himself because the head Inquisitor cannot handle her, despite the skill difference, or he interrupts their battle and then defeats Jocasta himself and takes her into custody, gets the thing on her, and then maybe somehow when he's interrogating her figures out how to go into that room and get the holocrons, or maybe the holocrons will end up still being there and then Luke will find them in a sequel comic. It's one of those little ideas that we gotta wait to see how it plays out. Either way, I am looking forward to the next volume immensely. And in case you're wondering, I'm recording this on November 26th, and the next issue comes out on December 6th. So, still a little bit of ways, but ooh, I can't wait. And I do like the cover they have for the next one, where it's Vader again, standing in the library with some books behind him, and then Jocasta is almost off camera, but you can see the back of her head and her blade. Ooh. That's why I wonder if they're actually going to fight, or if they just made that just to be a cool little cover, but we'll find out. I mean, the cover we have for this one, as you could see throughout the video a couple times, technically we get something like that, but not that exact image in this volume. Well, that was Darth Vader 8, man. Hopefully, after I'm done with this video someday down the line, I'll go back and review the first 7 in this one. I'll probably do it by arcs.